Outside. Outside.
Hi there, welcome back. We're just taking a moment, getting our breath back after that incredible final in the penultimate Women's Series event of 2022 when Bo Greaves beat Fallon Sherrock to move ahead of her in second place on the order of merit, meaning she now holds a provisional place at the World Championship at Alexandra Palace, hitting a fantastic 148 checkout that changed the game completely, and it means that it goes down to this final tournament. 30. It could be a straight shootout in the final between the pair of them. Plenty of darts to be thrown before then, and it starts with this match between Rebecca Hoyand, who we've seen a couple of times on the stream this weekend, against Sarah Roberts, making her first outing 100. Abby, before we get into this one, let's just have a few of your reflections on that final.
Absolutely remarkable, wasn't it? The way both players turned 55. Up and delivered such admirable performances under such enormous pressure. We thought that it could be a classic like that, but with all eyes on it, with the way that Fallon Sherrock has been under the cosh to produce some of her best darts at the Women's 41. Series for quite some time, the way she was able to do that, of course, that 148 from Bo Greaves did change the complexion. She then had an 11 dart leg 45. Going out on 81. It was just remarkable from both players, really, the way they just went at each other. And I do think, as we mentioned during that match, that could be a game that we see so many times over the next few years, and it could become one of the biggest tussle in women's darts, but it's certainly one that Bo Greaves has the upper hand in at the moment. We did see in that last leg, Fallon Sherrock, that's where she just did falter slightly, but we didn't see any of that from 66. Bo Greaves, did we? She just remained at that solid and consistent level throughout, and a record-breaking average was her reward, along with leapfrogging Fallon into second.
Yeah, she's played for a possible £7,000 on the Women's Series this year, Bo Greaves, and she's won exactly £7,000. Fallon Sherrock on 6,850, so £250 behind going into this final event.
100.
Having been £250 ahead going into the penultimate event, so it's flip-flopped, but it means that if the pair do what they did in the last tournament and get to the final, then it would end up being a straight shootout between them to see who gets that place 26. At the World Championship. So not over yet for Fallon Sherrock. It's worth tuning in for the next few hours to see how it plays out. We will, of course, keep you updated on their progress in this tournament as 19. The day goes on, and all of the other matches as well. And there are other key protagonists, aren't there, that can spoil the party for either of them. I mean, if one of them were to go out, particularly Bo Greaves early in the tournament, then that makes things intriguing in a different way, although I think most people want to see that clash again because it was 53. Absolutely sensational.
Yeah, if we could see that clash, of course, they are on course to meet in the final yet again. And what a showdown that 41. Could be. And I think, given what we saw in that first match, even though it's Bo Greaves who came out on top, I don't think we've got any indication of how that one would go, because we could see another blockbuster and, you know, any outcome would be achievable, because Fallon Sherrock, whilst we've given Bo Greaves so many plaudits, and rightly so, Fallon Sherrock certainly 82. Played her part in that final as well. A really good performance from her.
I do hope that everybody was aware of the final happening, because it really was a match that everyone had been waiting 59. To see. And everybody else has been waiting for the next tournament to start, including this pair. Sarah Roberts looking at the lesser seen double 17 and finding it to take the first leg.
Yeah, strong start there from Sarah, getting that first leg. And Rebecca, of course, had that good run yesterday, didn't she? She would have been looking to follow that up here today.
100.
Aileen de Graaf currently 2-0 up on Josie Patterson. These all, of course, first round games getting underway at the moment. Laura Turner 1-0 down again
85.
in her opening match to Deborah Watling. Bo Greaves, no rest at all for her. She's already 1-0 up on Lorraine Hyde in her opening game of this final event. Corinne Hammond 1-0 up against Yuki Sakaguchi in her match as well. And Anastasia Dobromoslova racing out to 2-0 lead against
45.
Louise Pearson. And Louise Pearson, of course, was the player who beat Laura Turner in that opening event of the day.
Just going to recap the boards for this
60
final tournament, because did mention during the semi-finals and final, if you were watching, that Bo and Fallon have been kept apart, so can meet in the final of this event, but they do both have some other tough opposition in their respective halves of the draw. So in the top half of the draw, which features Bo Greaves, hold that thought. Oh,
120.
a bit of bad luck and a bit of damage inflicted as well. Yeah, in that top half of the draw, which features Greaves, we've got Aileen de Graaf, Lisa Ashton, and in the bottom half of the draw, Fallon Sherrock may have to contend with Mikuru Suzuki and Lorraine Winstanley. So a fairly even split, isn't it?
It is indeed, but Bo Greaves, that opening match for her against Lorraine Hyde, that's a potentially very, very tricky tie, because Lorraine's had a very good weekend herself, hasn't she, here? Put in some very 39. Good performances. But Sarah Roberts has started this match very nicely indeed.
50.
It's the ice cream shot coming in. Treble 20 needed.
Yeah, Sarah Roberts, very vocal, isn't she, in this leg?
44.
She will return for 82.
Fantastic dart that is. It gets a 2 at double 16. Brilliant.
Game shot.
Absolutely superb from Sarah Roberts. An 82 checkout. Bullseye double 16.
And that was after a bounce out, wasn't it? 60 points on the floor, as she let us know, because she's partial to 100. Having a little chit chat.
Nothing wrong with that. Not sure Rebecca Hoyland wants to be engaged in conversation at the moment.
36.
By the way, that final, I'm sure in due course, will be uploaded in full to the PDC YouTube channel. So if you did miss any of the final, or you want to watch back key moments 27. Like that stunning tide-turning 148 finish from Bo Greaves, then you will be able to do that at some point today. Really is worth a watch again. I know I'll be watching it again as soon as I get home.
Yeah, I intend to watch it.
27.
On my way back home.
Just for clarity, she's not driving.
I'm getting the train just so that I can watch that, it turns out.
30.
It's not happening for Rebecca Hoyland in this one, is it?
No, Roberts has shown signs of danger.
11.
Hoyland's been all too aware of it, although maybe she's got all the good stuff out of the way. Greaves 2-0 up against Lorraine Hyde.
81.
Yeah, the way Sarah Roberts has been chatting to the marker, chatting to the board, and indeed to herself. I'm half expecting her to turn around to Rebecca and say, surely you wanted a treble 20 in there, didn't you? But she's found one of her own. So maybe she'll just turn round and say,
"This is how you do it."
100.
I really should have been switching
60.
after not finding a treble with the first dart. Finding one with the third wouldn't have left Ron a finish, but then again, Roberts is a long way behind for once in this leg. First woman through to the second round, Eileen de Graaf, a 4-1 win for her against Josie Patterson, who ends her
45.
campaign with defeat, but no shame in losing to ADG.
no shame in losing to her mum yesterday either.
37.
Yeah, bragging rights remain with Lorraine.
Yeah, her mum is Lorraine Winstanley. We don't just invite anyone's mum to
60.
come and play against them in the latter stages of tournaments.
To be fair, mine would probably beat me as well.
That's a given.
74.
And Bo Greaves one away from victory in her opening match.
I can now give you confirmation of the next match here. So we're going to have another first round match. It'll be
39.
Lisa Ashton against Kirsty Hutchinson. Very tasty tungsten tie. And then we're going to have Trina Gulliver against Priscilla Steenbergen in the second round. And you know how Corinne Hammond and
32.
Natalie Gilbert both always get tough draws? Well, they could be playing each other in the second round. Corinne's got to get past UK Sakaguchi first, and Gilbert must beat Steph Clark. But that is a very fitting finale
45.
to the Women's Series season for that pair.
It really, really is, and it's looking more likely that Corinne Hammond will certainly be there because she's just gone 3-1 up on Yuki
Game
Sakaguchi as Rebecca Hoyland levels proceedings here. I just got a little bit caught out there, didn't I? Sarah Roberts, sorry.
Yeah,
re-establishes that lead.
Caught up in the pace, I think.
60.
Results coming through from Dortmund as well. Michael Smith beat Luke Humphries earlier today. Chris Dobie has carried on his exploits. He's now beaten Dave Chisnell to reach the semi-finals of the European Championship.
45.
You can watch that on ITV4 this evening. The darts is non-stop this weekend.
$26.
Yeah, Mikuru Suzuki 3-1 up in her match against Sam Curtin as well, but Laura Turner looks like it
45.
could be a disastrous day for her. She lost out very early on, earlier on today, didn't she, in the first round, and she's 3-1 down in her opening match to Deborah Watling.
41.
Oh, when I went through all the sums at the start, I did misspeak slightly. It's £150 behind Bo Greaves. Fallon Sherrick is not 250, which I think I uttered at the start of it.
60.
But it's the same difference in terms of where things lie in the tournament. I mean, we all kind of want to see that final again, because it would be winner takes all.
99.
Should we just play it? Should we just say, look, ladies, we'll just play Bo Fallon again. Get off early. We'll share the rest of the prize money between
41.
all of the rest of you.
I can't see any of the players having an issue with that at all.
But it's still quite an achievement, isn't it, to win one of these Women's Series events, and there are plenty of players out there who still
55.
want to add their name to the Roll of Honour, of course. And of course there's that World Match Play race, so maybe one or two involved in that might say, actually, I think I want to go as deep as I can in this tournament.
Yeah, and we mentioned at the start of play yesterday that Fallon Sherrick, of course, having missed those events in Hildesheim, was looking to force her way into the top
55.
8 in that race for the World Match Play, and she is now in that top 8, of course. Bo Greaves, you can't imagine she won't make it to the match play
42.
as things currently stand.
45.
Just a reminder, Lisa Ashton coming next. She may have a big say in what happens in that all-important race to the World Championship, a race that she's already won.
45.
It's easy to forget. The reason there's only one space to play for is because she's been such a runaway success on the Women's Series this year. Now then, can she climb the ladder?
100.
Falters on the final rung.
Can Rebecca Hoyland treat us to something special? No, she misses
28.
the big number there. So Sarah Roberts returns for double 10 to move within 1. And I can confirm that Laura Turner has suffered a second successive first round defeat. She's gone down 4-1 in that one. But another convincing victory for Anastasia Dobromoslova. 4-0 win for her in her opening match.
26.
So to restore that two-leg lead that Sarah Roberts opened up early in the game, well, that looks like a very nice guide. Just slide it off that barrel and into the bed. Beautiful.
Yeah, had the potential to get a bit scrappy at the end of that one, didn't it? But Sarah Roberts getting the job done to move within 1.
140. $64.
Peter Wright, Ross Smith, the last remaining quarter-final in Dortmund at the European
69.
Championship. So it's Dobie, Dirk and Michael Smith through.
Just realised, Murph, you never gave me an answer yesterday when I asked you
45.
if there was someone who could do with having Bo Greaves' temperament and her approach to this game and just the I just play to enjoy attitude. Well, male or female, who would it be?
Based on what she produced in that match with that attitude,
41.
every single darts player in the world.
A cop-out answer.
Well, we saw Aurora Focasato in the first match of the day. She played Fallon Sherrick, she lost, but she has won a game now in the second
57.
tournament. 4-2 against Danielle Fry.
$43.
Just been a tweet from Fallon Sherrick, just praising the support from 3 of her friends and fellow dart players, calling Lorraine Winstanley, Corinne Hammond and Anastasia Dobromoslova her rocks, followed by the line with all the weight on your shoulders. And I think it did feel like everybody was against her when she received that
44.
that rip-roaring finish from Bo Greaves from the audience in the arena. Right, in this one, we have lost the score graphic for a short while. I can tell you Rebecca Hoyland will come back needing 164.
41.
Sarah Roberts after that visit on 254.
Yeah, interesting response there from Fallon Sherrick because it clearly impacted her in that last leg. I'm not saying that it would have changed the outcome necessarily. Of course, we don't know, but she certainly wasn't throwing as straight after that. And look, the 148 in itself could throw you off your strap.
That was the match-winning shot. That we're not trying to build a narrative that the Raw is what lost her the match. That's not what we're doing here. But it must have been a lonely place to be after hearing it.
79.
And now to have to pick herself up and try and win this tournament to get through. I mean, it would be some incredible act, wouldn't it? Some incredible feat. And I don't think people fully appreciate the microscope that Fallon Sherrick has been under since
100.
that ceiling shattering showing at the World Championship. 46 here for Hoyland.
And double 10.
Game
and she
shot.
pins it to extend this match, so it's 3-2 in favour of Sarah Roberts. And there we have the score graphic back for you to confirm that.
100.
Fallon Sherrock, you mentioned picking herself back up for this match. She's going to have to do so very quickly because you can see she's just going through her warm-up darts
70.
ahead of her match against Juliet Findlay on one of the outside boards. So it's a very quick turnaround time. Going to have to put that to the back of her mind as quickly as possible and get into this one. But there are many times, aren't there? And there have been many times in Fallon Sherrock's career where she has been up against it and she's had to fight against so many things that she shouldn't have had to have fought against. It's not her fault that
44.
she achieved what she did and she became the first woman to win at the Alexandra Palace. That's not her fault. She did that by being very, very good and very, very talented. And the scrutiny and some of the disgusting things that
45.
she's had to deal with for just being very good, and the way she's dealt with those, she's never really grumbled or complained, just got on with the job in hand, and
45.
it must be very, very hard to do so.
Even that tweet we've seen today, it's a positive response. She's chosen, instead of focusing on the negative, to actually praise the people that are there as supporters.
60.
And it's an interesting thing anyway in darts, isn't it, or any individual sport. You spend a lot of time on tour with people who are effectively your rivals, so people do form close friendships.
45.
And that in itself creates stories, because you get the best of friends playing each other in the most important of matches.
Yeah, and one of those friends that Fallon Sherrock mentioned in that tweet was Lorraine Winstanley, who's actually taking on Fallon's sister right now.
And just looking at it in the arena, I think it's next board
95.
If you've never seen behind the scenes at a Pro Tour event, apart from the streaming board, which is enclosed, it's a long row of boards, decent distance between them,
43.
walls in between them, but it must be tempting not to have a peer around at times to see what's going on next to you. What's going on here is Sarah Roberts is looking for the match-winning shots.
Wasn't able to find the treble to leave herself tops, but she will be returning. As you can see, Rebecca Hoyland in the back of your picture there, just composing herself.
56.
Slightly Dimmy-esque the way she was composing there ahead of this visit. She won't be able to
45.
apply the pressure that she would have been hoping for in that visit. So Sarah Roberts with a minimum of 6 if she needs.
20.
And she will need to return to get the job done. And there she is, having a little chat, a little natter again with our referee.
I wonder what she's saying. I might have to have a word with
139.
He's not allowed to say anything in response, so it's been a really awkward conversation. She turns around and goes, "Oh, that was good, wasn't it?" He can't say, "Yeah, well done," because he has to remain totally impartial. He might say game short. No, he won't.
32.
He'll say 32 instead, and that opens the door for Hoyland to force a last leg shootout.
So double 10.
50.
Unable to go double-double. And I have to say, despite Luke not engaging in the conversation, it's not deterring Sarah Roberts at all. She's continuing the one-way conversation.
Good guide. Double 2, we've been here before, but she can't
4.
guide it home, and the game may go on.
And that is a very wayward attempt and a second wayward dart.
6.
Got closer, but still didn't really threaten the double there.
This is in. This one. This one.
2.
Well, she was closer with the last dart than any of the others, but is the game going to be going into an extra leg? Let's find out. Looks locked out here.
No score.
That's like the other referee, Owen Binks, trying to leave his house. For those that don't know, we'll tell you the story one day, but yeah, I've heard of being locked out, not locked in.
No score.
Sarah Roberts wasn't able to maintain a more solid arm than Owen Binks there. He's been known to spill a drink or two in his time as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean...
No score.
We should have had this conversation while he was on refereeing, but yeah, he did cause great embarrassment for our team in the restaurant last night.
Game shot and the match.
No embarrassment there for Sarah Roberts. A 4-2 success for her. Big smile on her face as she gets over the line, eventually against Rebecca